I actually had someone really close to me, say to me, "Mark, when is enough enough? You've you own this, you got this, you have a business successful. When is it?" And I actually took it like they were, criticizing me, and I just pondered that. I went to bed and I was thinking about it, and I woke up and all of a sudden I went, "You know what? Enough is enough is when there's no more poverty, there is no more cancer, there is no more." And so it really drove me to say, I realized a couple things. One, I call it in the book, celebrate your wins. I was so focused on the next thing I was after, I wasn't enjoying the dash, the part in between. And so I started being more intentional. I throw a party every couple years and I bring in a lot of different people that I can connect. We did a movie. We the doctors with the cancers, the sheriff's department, the It Works people. I brought a lot of different people that collaborating, we could help each other out. But we were also celebrating that we get to do this life, and I was so focused, I was going to be on my deathbed and go, well, I had a lot of stuff, but did I enjoy it? I want that time with the grandkids. I want to teach them how to fish and how to have fun and be driven. And so that became important to me. And then the redream, this first dream might be something that blows your mind, making the $500 a month. But once you did it, let's redream. What's the next thing important to you?
Mark Pentecost, welcome to the Inner Entrepreneur Podcast. Your story is fascinating. Uh, I was going to say bordering on unbelievable. That's not fair thing to say, but it is an incredible story for anyone to go from a high school teacher and coach to building a $1 billion enterprise, living the lifestyle you live today, philanthropist, best-selling author. That is a fascinating journey, and I'm sure everyone wants to know how in God's name did he do that? And we do wanna hear that, but what when I hear that story, what I see or I think is 2 men and who live on different planets. Because I think if the man you are today rambles in and meets a high school teacher, it's you're different human beings, different individuals. And I wonder about who the man you were before, the man you are now, and what had to change to become the man you are today?
What a great question. Great questions. That's interesting because, when I'm introduced places now, they'll say a visionary, a great dreamer. And I'm always kind of pondering, where did this come from? But I think back then I always had the feelings inside that there was more. I was teaching and coaching. I enjoyed working with the young people. I like sports, winning games, but there's always something stirring. And I think a lot of us have that. I think we come out of it might be school, and we've got these big dreams we're going to go accomplish, and then the world kind of beats you up a little bit. And I've had people say, "Oh, you're not supposed to do that," or "You should settle," or "You shouldn't have those thoughts of wanting more." And I don't think that's true. I think we always have something here that no we're made for. And I realize I used to say when I was running the company, I was a teacher, I was a coach, and I realized I'm still a teacher and a coach. I just have a different audience. And, in coaching, if I lost, I had to get ready the next day, get the team ready, get them believing they could win a game, get them excited. And I do the same thing in business. I got to get people in the right seats and I got to get the right team around me and the right support. And so, I think we all have that. And I think that's the reason I wanted to do the book was I think a lot of people quit dreaming, they don't realize it. And I think dreaming is like a muscle. The more you use it, the bigger it gets. And so, yeah, my dreams, they'll say, well, those are little dreams. Well, when I first started, I needed extra $500 a month. That was a huge dream for me. Today, yeah, it doesn't look very big. But back then, that was a huge dream. And when we accomplished that, and I went, wait a minute, I got some talents I didn't know I have. I wasn't dreaming of a private island or a 10,000 acre ranch back then. That was too big, but I could start the journey. And, now I literally will have people go, "What's your new dream?" Because they know I got something percolating up here. So I do think the person's wiser today, has knows where a lot of the potholes are. I didn't know back then, but I think I'm the same person. I just didn't realize that, I had this hunger and I wanted more and I wanted more for my family. And, now I look back and go, that a pretty amazing ride.
It sure has. It's interesting that you say that we all want more, and I think that's true. But I also feel, and I'm wondering what your thoughts on this, that I meet an enormous amount of people who either don't want more, or maybe, I don't know, have they switched it off because of fear, because of disappointment? Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like maybe these people do want more, but at some level they said, see, dreams can be devastating as well.
I love that because when I wrote the book, I have 7 steps that I think to being successful. And what I found is people get stuck. They get stuck in life and sometimes they don't even realize that they had these big dreams and somehow now they're dull. And, I call it getting in the game. When I was coaching, we were on the field playing, but there were people in the stands that would be yelling, and Monday morning quarterback. And I'm like, until you get up and get out of the stands and get down on the field, let's and go on the offense. Life is tough. I got hamster battle going right now. I didn't want that, but life throws stuff at you, and I realized I could either play defense, which means I'm always taking blows, or I could go on the offense. And I tell my kids, my family now, I say, in America in football, if you score, you do an end zone dance, and I said, I want to go on the offense and do the dance. On defense, you're just trying not to let the other team score, and you're always running backwards. I don't want that anymore. I want to dream and be on the offense. And I I didn't realize my personality. I had some family brother-in-laws, and I couldn't understand why they weren't more hungry. They want to do more for their families. They just wanted to come home from work and sit in front of the TV. And I realized I got to be careful with my personality because I would come on a little strong, and I don't want to. I want them to have their own dreams. And I realized my greatest strength is also my greatest weakness, and that's I want to win. I want to. I want to go out there, and I'm like Braveheart. I want to yell freedom and attack, and I realize not everybody wants to do that. So that's a great comment.
But the thing, I mean, Braveheart, hey, it's a great movie made here in Ireland. And when you watch the story of William Wallace, when I watch it, and it's hundreds of years ago, but it's just so freaking inspiring because one man shifted
Yeah,
a, a nation, and maybe it was that, and maybe even back then it was that one man who dreamed the dream, and because he did, a whole nation supported him. But what I'm wondering, you've mentioned, um, your battle with cancer, and as far as I know, it's something you've also battled with before. So, how do you go on the offense when you're dealing with something like that? Because it's a whole different ball game to to a business problem. You can't sit down and strategize it. So, does that challenge your belief system and your philosophy? You keep up in the morning when you're not on a podcast.
exactly, exactly. I was just reading a new book, and it was talking about there's courage in the day and courage at 2 a.m. in the morning when you can't sleep, and I thought that's so true. But I think it is a mindset. I can say, woe is me. I actually was at the uh, cancer treatment yesterday, and the one I want hasn't been approved yet, and so we're trying to figure out how to do a clinical trial, and they literally are flipping a coin, and I'm like, in today's world, how is your life in balance on a flip of a coin of yes, you can get in, no, you can't get in,
Yeah.
and so I think if you don't have the right mindset and you're not on the offense, that you'll just get to a point like you don't want to move forward. What is that? Paralysis by
Yeah.
analysis. You're so and so for me, and what you said a minute ago, I know that wasn't us talk about, but when you talk about William Wallace, I'm realizing, what our net worth is right now, our family. I mean, my parents had a farm in Tennessee. They worked on a factory line. We didn't have money in our family. We didn't have education, but somewhere there was a dream within a dream. Someone started this. My grandparents, they were hard workers, and I'm realizing what I'm doing now isn't just for me. It's for the next generations. Now that gets a little heavy thinking, but I'm getting to that age where I'm like really excited that because we believe in being very generous. The more you give back, the more you're blessed. And I think maybe great grandkids that I don't even know about right now may do something world changing because of the seeds we're planting right now in our philosophy of going on the offense. And so I have a couple I love to say. One is the dream that will make you most proud is the one you're afraid to say out loud. And I think we all have something that we don't say it because we're like, what if it doesn't happen? Or now I said it, I gotta do it. And I have found for myself when I say things out loud, it challenges myself. And then the other one I love saying is who you surround yourself with. I tell people sometimes maybe your dream didn't happen, not because of what you did wrong, but maybe you planted it with people around you that it couldn't thrive. And so your dream died. And so I think who you surround yourself with in that mental, I want to make sure I got people with energy, people that speak life. I don't want to go into cancer treatments going, oh, this is probably the last day. Uh, I'm going in going, man, the future's bright and wherever it goes, I'm going to live to the fullest.
Yeah, and I guess you don't know what the future is. None of us know. None of us know
Mm.
what tomorrow brings. But your approach to it makes a massive difference. Um, you're talking about this generational wealth. It's something I've pondered myself in the past. Have you studied the the families of the very, very wealthy Americans, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, all these people? And when you read about them, what you find a Mark Pentecost, you find a guy who effectively started with nothing and built an empire and did that usually with the memory of, because I guess you still have the memory of what it was. You spoke about wanting the extra $500. So I get, although that's nothing to you now, I'm guessing when you're writing a check, you're remembering what it was like. But your grandchildren may never
Mm.
have that, and so you have a hunger because you knew it was like to very little. I remember when €500 was a massive amount of money to me, so I still have that hunger. Um, but I think what history has demonstrated is that as that funnels down, there's very, very, very few families where that wealth hasn't destroyed the family. Interestingly, recently, the Guinness, the most famous Irish
Oh,
drink,
I
and there's a TV series recently on the Guinness family, which is largely fictional. But the truth of it is the wealth destroyed the family. I mean, I think there's a couple of generations, maybe it was as far as the son or something, but after that, they became privileged people and it destroyed their family. Do you worry about that or have you considered it?
that's so good. Uh, we had offices in Dublin, and my daughter actually went over there and ran the family office over there and met an Irishman and married him. So we actually did a company party at the Guinness factory, and I started reading on them. And some of the things like when they provided water when they turned to getting fresh water for people, and some of the
They were phenomenal family,
yeah,
phenomenal.
with hospitals and that, and that's I'm very intentional now. You go through different, cycles or periods of time, so we're just trying to make it, my kids are hard workers, they came up when we didn't have anything. So, one of my daughters said the other day, Dad, you don't have to worry about us. You pushed us hard enough that, we're solid. And so you do start,
But I think what you said there is key.
Yeah.
You said they came up when we didn't have anything, and had you made your money, say 10, 15 years earlier, I'm not. I'm sure they love the kids, but they could have been spoiled brats. But what the example you set was really hard work, and I guess what they saw is, look what my dad did.
yeah,
He was a bloody high school teacher on very low wage, and
yeah,
he built from nothing $1 billion business. Now they would have seen the struggle, they would have seen the nighttime chats between yourself and your wife, so they witnessed all that.
yeah,
But it's the generations beyond that grow up feeling privileged,
yeah,
and they no longer have maybe you around to provide the wisdom,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
the history books aren't good in those
I
stories.
love that. And that's what we're thinking about right now. We had done our estate planning and now it's changed because it's worth so much more today. And, they call it a family office. And I'm like, how can I affect those generations when I'm not around? You don't want to control, but you want them to know what we stand for. We don't stand for being privileged and not working hard. I think it was Buffett that said, I want to give enough to my kids. They can do anything, but they can't do nothing. And I really believe that's what I want with the great. I want to know what do the Pentecost stand for? We stand for giving back, helping people that can't help themselves. Right now I'm financing a lot of things with trying. They don't use the cure word for this cancer. And I'm like, I don't want control. I want cure. Let's find cures. And it's one thing for my age, but these young kids, these babies, when I see them in the cancer places,
Yeah.
it breaks my heart. But then I also just helping people. Education is so different today. At a time it was about college, and I think trade schools and other things are so important today. So that is things that we're really talking is how do we pass on that we wear it like you said, Wallace said their shield and their flag and their mantra. I want our mantra to be we're hard working, we give back, and we take care of people that can't help themselves. So I can only do so much
Yeah.
once I'm gone, but I'm gonna very strongly, even in setting up the office and what people get, will say, you gotta show an education, you gotta show a hungry, a grit, a heart. So I think those are great things to think about. There it gets to a certain point where you can't control it.
Can't control it. But I think yeah, what I'm hearing there is two things. You are talking about passing on wealth, but it seems to be what you are very committed to is passing on values. And I guess that I guess that the problem is when people pass on the wealth, but they don't pass on on the values. Because I think Charlie Munger said something about passing money on to his kids, and he said it's not something he did, but he said it's not something I really keen on doing because of the problems. He said, but if I don't, they'll hate me. Yeah. So it's a really, really difficult one. Joe, I want to keep this conversation real for those of the audience who are not billionaires. And, and, and I loved, because I heard you talk about this before. I love this notion you had in your head of I just want an extra $500, because I think when someone reads your book and they listen to that, and we go through the 7 steps, I think if someone is listening to this and they go, was school teacher became a billionaire, I think they'll go, fuck. I mean, I can't do it. That is, by the way, if I met you at whatever age that was and I said, Mark, this is what's ahead of you, you probably would have said, no, it would have blown your mind.
Sure.
But everyone listening to this, no matter how listen, can pick a number. And that could be $500, could be 5,000, could be 500,000. But I think they can pick a number that goes, this is what I need. It's a stretch. I'm not sure how I'll do it, but it's a stretch. So what was the mindset at that point in time? Because I think that's a great place to start. If it's just $500,
Right.
what was your mindset around that?
Well, It was $500 because, and why 500? It's because what we were lacking, I was teaching and coaching. My wife, we're raising our kids. She's doing some daycare. She's actually was cleaning some houses. And, I would finish my teaching and I would line fields for sports. I would I'd run camps for the sports. And so we're trying to make extra money. It just seemed like we are always $500 short. So, one of the great things is when you have more cash at the end of the month. I mean, you paid all your bills, and that 500 represented that. When we started making 500 extra, we made a plan. Then we started thinking, what if we could put some money away? Because
So what was that plan? Can I ask? What was the plan? How did the extra $500 come? Because about this about stage, you're both yourself and your wife,
yeah,
you're working your asses off, you're raising a family.
yeah.
So was it about finding extra hours in the day, or what did you actually do?
Well, great question. I had someone approach me with a direct sales company, and it's funny because it was long distance phone usage, which today we're talking a wall phone, not a cell phone.
Yeah.
Um, When I tell the grandkids, they're looking at me like,
Show them a picture. Yeah.
so, but we said, let's get in this and try it. And if we can make $500, we'd be happy. Well, I found I had a talent for that. I had a talent for selling. And, with teaching, if I was the best teacher in the world, I didn't make extra money. We got paid to save. Well, with this, if I worked harder and did more, I got paid. And so all of a sudden it opened this new world to me. And so once I hit 500, I started thinking, could I go full time? Could I make more money than what I was making teaching? So the goal shifted then. And
What's really sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but what I find really interesting about that is that you set a goal for 500, not a lot of money. What's the big deal? But the big deal is that it cracked something like an eggshell in your mindset, because it sounds like a light, but you went, aha, I mean, I can be the best freaking school teacher in the world and they're still paying me, I don't know, $50,000. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm the world's best school teacher, but I have a talent here and I become one of the world's best in this. Now that's a game changer. And that was
boom.
the shift. But I guess you would have never, unless you tried, that would have never happened. You don't get that light going off doesn't happen from reading a book or listening to a podcast. You have to go and go, how can I make the $500? And you begin to build a muscle.
Yes. And I would say, one of the chapters, one of my steps is about risk. And so I do think from a podcast or a book back then I thought risk was bad. I now know there's good risk and bad risk. Bad risk is to go to Vegas and put everything out there and bet it. Good risk is you calculate. So my wife and I, we said, okay, how do we do the $500? Well, one night a week, I've got to focus on this. If I don't, life's just too busy and I'll never get to it. So we sat down and said, okay, what are we willing to give up to have one night a week that we focus on making an extra 500 a month? We figured out the risk, and we knew if we didn't do it, we'd never get ahead. So, one of the things,
That's the real risk, isn't it? That's the risk. That's the risk people don't talk about. There's two risks there. There's the risk of the man you would have never become. You might have lived a wonderful life, but you'd still be a school teacher.
yes,
I think that is an amazing risk, because you might have, gotten to 90 years of age on your deathbed and go, I could have become.
yeah,
And hopefully at this stage you'll go, I am that man. But to wake up and go, I could have become that man,
yeah.
that's a risk I'm not prepared to take.
That's really good. And we did that each step. After we did the 500, we said, so what would it take? I calculated I was making 40,000 a year, teaching, coaching, all my side jobs.
Yeah.
And in this, so we started saying, what would I need to make to do this full time? And so we wrote that amount. I got a little nervous, as people do. I added more. I started saying, oh, I've got to pay my own insurance. That'll be more. And I kept moving the bar. We started making like 5,000 a month, then we made 6,000. And someone finally said, Mark, you're making more. And again, risk. You want to take that step. but the water's cold. You're like, what if it falls apart and people are laughing at you, or people say, oh, you walked away from a secure job, but what you just said, that risk, there was more risk in not doing what you're capable of. There's more risk in not doing what you're made for and never knowing what you could truly do. And when I walked away, it was funny because my money actually went down the next month. And I went, oh no. And then 3 months later, it exploded because I knew the plan now. I had the time and it was on me. I worked harder for myself. And so that's a big part I think people need to realize is risk doesn't mean bad. It means calculated and that you plan. And I think people get stuck, like even not knowing they're not in the game anymore. Some people say, oh, I have my own business, I'm working. They're not. They're up in the stands watching. And we got to get them back out there. Who you surround yourself with.
Mm.
Everyone has someone, it could be a great aunt or something, but someone that's just always negative, always telling you, you'll never do that. You can't do it. I realized I had to be intentional to have good people around me, people that have either done it before and could give me advice, or people that were just really good energy and wanted to support and help. But I had to get rid of people around me that were always negative and always draining me of my energy because they were always telling me what I couldn't do instead of what I could do. And so we tell our kids, be careful who you surround yourself with, but us as adults forget it. But it's so important to us.
I think you scare people honestly because I mean, I think you spoke earlier about your brother-in-laws and realizing that they had different ambitions to you. But if I'm earning my 40,000 a year as a school teacher and I have dreams that I don't want to say out loud, which I love, by the way, because it takes a shitload of courage to say it out loud. I don't say it out loud. And I'm kind of hiding it there. And I have a great story. And the story is it's too dangerous. It can't be done, blah, blah, blah. And then this asshole brother-in-law of mine starts doing it. It's like, you're really now pissing me off. And I'm gonna start blaming you. And the truth is you're proving to me that it can be done.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think that's the scary thing. And I, I haven't built a $1 billion business, but I would have been aware at some stage of my life to go, Paul, stop talking big.
Mm.
Stop talking about the things you do, because there's certain companies when you talk like that, it's support, it's great. You're inspiring people because think, oh wow. And there's certain people and they do not want to hear it because you are hitting their pain points. Yeah, I just, I can imagine you were triggering a lot of people.
I look right now, interesting. We had 3 weeks ago, I just sold my company and so I was just reflecting on life a little bit and I'm like, gosh, I wanted to be a basketball coach, head coach, high school. I got to that mountaintop. I did that. And I found out there was more I wanted. I got into this direct sales, found out I was a good salesperson. Uh, we were making 70,000 a month and I was used to make 40,000 a year. And so I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. And that was a mountaintop, but then long distance kind of went away. This thing called cell phones came out. So now I had a problem. I've seen the other side of life, but I didn't want to go back to teaching. And so we started It Works. And, we weren't on an overnight success. We worked hard, we grinded. I had a great team around me. I just sold it. We were 25 years old, but we've done billions and billions in sales that changed our life. And so that was a mountaintop. And I think in life, you go through a valley in transition to get to the next mountaintop. And I'm as excited today to see what my next mountaintop is. I've got a couple businesses I'm looking at. I'm looking at how can we give more? How can our foundation? How can I inspire the grandkids? So I think life is a series of mountaintops. And if you get stuck in a valley, that's a transition. You've got to move. You got to make sure you're moving. And that's why I say go on the offense. I think you got to realize I'm stuck and I got to get the right people around me, listen to the right podcast, get the right mindset. And then for me, the secret sauce is the more we gave back as a family, the more our business exploded over here. And I just think there's something to, if you're giving, it gives you the ability to receive and do more. And so
Well, I also think part of the giving is it challenges your own financial beliefs at core anyway, because the- we hear stories of very, very wealthy people who never enjoy their wealth because internally they still, I don't know, they grew up very, very poor and they never released that fear or whatever it is, and they never enjoyed. But it's funny. Before the podcast, I was as I was this afternoon. I'm thinking about the conversation, and as I said, I'm not a billionaire, but also I've no aspiration to be a billionaire, but I am financially independent.
Mm.
So for me, the dream for me was the freedom to live in a beautiful home, have a beautiful holiday. So I have all these nice things, which is
Yeah.
great. And the freedom for me always was to get up in the morning and go, what is it I want to do today? And have the freedom to do that, which I have had for many years. And as I'm hearing your story, so I don't know now. So, and I'm just teasing this out myself, and you can challenge me. I kind of feel I've reached that point where going, well, I have, I certainly know, and genuinely, I have enough. I have enough. I have enough, which doesn't mean I don't want more. And I'm wondering to myself now, as I'm listening to you, is that enough? And I get to do this. I don't have to worry about, oh God, can I
Right.
make money about it? I just get to do what I love to do. So that's a wonderful place to be. But am I sitting on a mountaintop with satisfaction, or would you say no? Maybe you're stuck. That's
Yeah.
so you're challenging me now. I'm wondering, am I stuck or am I?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's funny you said that because I actually had someone really close to me say to me, Mark, when is enough enough? You own this, you got this, you have a business successful. When is it? And I actually took it like they were criticizing me, and I pondered that. I went to bed and I was thinking about it, and I woke up, and all of a sudden I went, you know what? Enough is enough is when there's no more poverty, there is no more cancer, there is no more. And so it really drove me to say, I realized a couple things. One, I call it in the book, celebrate your wins. I was so focused on the next thing I was after, I wasn't enjoying the dash, the part in between. And so I started being more intentional. I throw a party every couple of years, and I bring in a lot of different people that I can connect. We did a movie. We the doctors with the cancers, the sheriff's department, the It Works people. I brought a lot of different people that collaborating, we could help each other out. But we were also celebrating that we get to do this life, and I was so focused, I was going to be on my deathbed and go, well, I had a lot of stuff, but did I enjoy it? I want that time with the grandkids. I want to teach them how to fish and how to have fun and be driven. And so that became important to me. And then the redream, this first dream might be something that blows your mind, making the $500 a month. But once you did it, let's redream. What's the next thing important to you? And so we kind of turn that, what's your redream of, okay, you've done that. I'm proud of you. You did a great job. But what? And so I don't think enough is ever enough until we are.
Well, me, you said something beautiful there, and maybe very revealing about your nature, because you said you took this bit of Chris and you went and thought about it. I know it's not enough, but the two things you spoke about were nothing to do with Mark having more. There were not. It wasn't. I can build another business. I can buy myself a private jet. What you said there is enough is enough when there's no poverty, and when I know you're passionate about childhood cancer. So I mean, I think that that level of focus is going. It to me, what you're saying there is, I'm alive. I'm an extremely capable human being. How can I give? And as a result of that, the way you've lived your life, you've received a whole lot, and congratulations. But your focus is your focus is, and by the way, I love the mix you shared there, because the mix to me was, I want to enjoy that. I don't want to give all my money. I want to thoroughly enjoy that, enjoy my ranch. I want to love all those things, but my passion and my focus is how can I give?
Mm.
And that probably, I think when you have that mindset, enough will never be enough. Because why would it be? Why would you ever, as long as you can breathe,
Yeah.
stop helping people?
Like you just said, uh, we did a movie. I love Westerns. My grandpa loved old Westerns. And so, uh, we just did a Western movie at the ranch and they told me there wasn't incentives in Florida. I had to do it in Hollywood. And I said, well, I want to do it about Florida cowboys. So I got to do it in Florida. And they said, well, you don't have a Western town. And I said, well, I'll build one. So I built a Western town. And now I may have let my heart get ahead of my head. Now I look back going, that might not have been but we had a blast doing it. And we brought in people, Lee Majors, the old $1 million
I
man.
remember Lee Mage as well. Yeah,
He had so much
the world's first bionic man.
exactly. And he's such a great guy in his 80s and a young star. Those actors at the end, they said, there were a lot of young ones and they're in movies now. You'd know some of their names, but they said to me, you're just a big kid. And I said, I am. I just want to enjoy life. And they afterwards would send me notes saying, I had settled. I was thinking I was going to be a bit part in the movie. I could be a lead or I could. And I thought, I think that's the part of life I enjoy now is the giving back to other people. I want to inspire them. What if you inspired one person to dream bigger and they're the ones that found the cure for cancer? They're the ones that found how to be more efficient in water, fresh water and things like that. So to me now it's inspiring others to dream and to look inside and go, did I settle or am I stuck? Or what is that dream I've been afraid to say out loud? And so that's kind of my mission now is to just have people reflect and really think about the 7 steps.
That sounds to me like the question everyone could ask themselves is, did I settle? But you also said something there that struck me. You were talking about when you built the town for your movie, the Cowboy Town, and you said maybe you let your heart run away of your head. But I think if you don't let your heart run away sometimes,
Mm,
you won't live the life. And I think that's that's fundamental to living the life of your dreams is you you have to let your heart run away and go, well, what could I do? What could I be? How could I live? Then the head comes in and goes, well, okay, I can give one night a week. I'm not going to suddenly walk away away from my job.
yep.
I know one stage I heard you mention the two biggest barriers to personal growth. What are the two biggest barriers to people growing, in your opinion?
One is being comfortable. Sometimes you're comfortable, you won't push yourself.
Oh, I wish you hadn't said that. How do I delete that? Because I'm comfortable. Oh, the hell with you. Excellent. What is comfortable? Write that down. Oh, I hear you. Well, but yeah, I know you can be comfortable at any stage and not stretch yourself.
I think belief. I think for when I get to, I love inviting people to the ranch. One, I enjoy spending time at the ranch, but two, when I'm walking with someone and we're just kind of talking and we're watching the cattle, we're doing stuff. I can tell like belief. Some don't believe in themselves. And as we chat and talk, I can see the confidence coming. And I literally have been walking with my wife before and I'll look at her and kind of nod my head because we're listening to the people walk in front of us and we're like, we're getting them. We're getting them. We've poked them enough that they're already their mind's expanding and they're thinking of things they want to go after. So I think belief, being able to believe in your cause enough, you got to have the belief in that and the belief in yourself that uh, you can surround yourself with the right people. I wasn't trained in business. I was trained as a coach to get people motivated. I could go in the locker room and get people excited to win the game, but I had to surround myself with good lawyers, good accountants, good, things I couldn't do myself, but I could hire that. And
Yeah, but you said something really interesting at the very outset. You said that you had the skills to be a great teacher, a great coach, and then you realized that you could actually take those skills and apply them elsewhere. So it's it struck me that people listening to this or watching this may already have lots of skills and they're using them maybe exceptionally well, but it's not going to, if income and a different lifestyle matters to them, it's not going to generate the income for them. And they possibly have skills that they could just turn into a different area
Yep.
that's income generating. I want to talk a little bit about the book. Can you go over the 7 steps? Because I think, I think a lot of the stuff we've talked about is very principle oriented, hopefully inspire people. But I really want, well, I mean, I hope people will go and buy the book, and we'll give them a link to to your website.
But
But let's talk through the 7 steps so people can maybe have some real tools that they can start.
good.
And just before you get into that, I will remind people that the first step can, I mean, this can be just how you get your first $500. What are the key steps?
I'm not said this. I'm going to say this before I start the key steps because I love what you said. If you're not building your dream, you're probably building someone else's dreams right now.
Yeah.
And so, number one step is get in the game. Realize that the day you start dreaming is the day you start living. If you've quit dreaming, it's time to, what was that dream? What was it? Everyone has something that used to really excites you. What is that? That stuff.
When you say that, something else strikes me, and this is for all the parents out there. When you stop pursuing your dream, you communicate that to your children. You don't sit down and say it, but they recognize it, and they either recognize it in you or subliminally they take it on. So if you don't want to do it for yourself, it's the example you're setting for your kids, I think, is massively important.
That is so good. I actually tell the story, and I had some people at the house, and we spent a lot of time in the company, the sales team, talk about dreaming. And this lady said, "Mark, I'm a single mom, 3 kids. I'm working 3 or 4 jobs, and you're always talking about dreaming, dreaming." And she goes, "I realized I quit dreaming." And
Okay.
she said, "But what's even worse is I realized because I wasn't dreaming, my kids weren't." And she said, "I want you to know today, I'm dreaming big, and so are my kids." And I love that. So when you said that,
Changing generation.
it really is. Number two is say it or see it. Some of us do visual, some of us do audio. So for me, I decided to move the company from Michigan to Florida, and it was because of some tax advantages. It was because of people didn't want to come to Michigan in the winter when it was
And
cold.
you bought a golf course.
I bought a golf course.
Colleen, come on. You bought a golf course.
I convinced my wife that we needed the banquet facility to do meetings, and
Yeah, of course. Everyone needs a golf course. It's completely reasonable. Completely reasonable. Yeah.
we're gonna have a Guinness together. I can tell we would have some good conversation with a Guinness, but so I used to go around the office saying I'm going to move the company to Florida. I thought I was telling my employees. We moved 25 families down here, but I realized I was saying it to myself. I was saying it out loud, kind of convincing myself.
Mm.
And I do the same thing end of each year. I'll write my goals for next year. I write down, and in red ink, I'll write last year's, how did I do? And in black ink, I'll write my new goals. And it could be health, get better,
Yeah.
weight, healthier. It could be family, be more listening, more loving, more, or it'd be business goals. I wanted to hit, I remember the first million. I was so excited to hit the first million. And
I remember the first million also. I still remember it. It's an
Yeah.
incredible thing. It's
Yeah. Very much. And so say it, see it is so important that you admitting and knowing how you respond. You may be someone that writes it down, or you may be someone that needs to say it. For me, it was say it. I do it now. I'll run around and say things in front of my wife, and I realize I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to me. But
You're convincing yourself.
yes, exactly. The third is live on the offense. Just realize, life is tough, and if you're not going after it, it's going after you. And so I really think having that mindset that I'm living on the offense. I'm going to strike out up at the plate. I'm not going to be sitting down watching someone else.
Yeah, shouting at other people how they should play the game. Get pitch, Kevin the pitch.
And then you'll like this one because you like the freedom one, but I've spent some time with Stallone, and he does Rocky. You're going to get knocked down. And so It's to get back up is step 4. Program yourself. Things are gonna happen. It's never a perfect ride. Our business was not this. It was up, down, a forward a step, back 2, forward 3 steps. So program yourself so that you're ready for it.
You listen to
Um,
Sylvester Stallone's early story, by the way. It's an incredible story. I think he had the script for Rocky or something,
yeah,
and he was literally penniless. I can't remember, did he have to
yeah,
sell his dog or something? But he was penniless.
yeah,
And if I remember the story correctly, because he was offered to buy the script, but someone bought the script, but they wouldn't let him star in it, and he refused it.
yeah.
And it's really interesting because I think when people see someone as successful as yourself or Sylvester Stallone, they see the finished product and they forget that this person was once on their knees, by the way, probably worse off than I am. And that's it.
Yep.
But we forget this because we put people in pedestals.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That's that whole chapter. And I think if you prepare someone ahead that you are gonna, I love the one, I don't remember which Rocky where he says you're gonna get knocked out with.
Yeah.
And I actually I was a math teacher, so I put a formula in the chapter and said, as long as how many times you get knocked down, divided by how many times you get back up. If you're greater than 1, you're alive, you're good. And so I really think that's important. Uh, and then, I mentioned this, finding your right people. And the quote I use is, when planted in the right environment, dreams thrive. When planted in the wrong environment, dreams die. So your dream may not have happened, not because of something you did, but where you planted it. So make sure you surround yourself with the right people. I call it, I was a basketball coach, so it's my starting 5. Who's your starting 5? Who's around you? Who's going to help you catch your dream? And a dream giver is so important.
So just that may mean changing your environment because sometimes someone said to me recently, your family often love you but don't want you to change. And just like
Mhm.
we spoke earlier, that as you became this more financially successful person, that would have pissed off a lot of people. So it's I'm not saying they're wrong, but
Right.
people may need to look around and go, I love these people and my friends, whoever they are,
Yep.
they're not the environment I need to be in. I need to find a different environment. I think that's
That,
crucial.
that's so good. I have, our sales force had a lot of ladies, and literally had I coached some of the ladies to give them permission not to answer the phone when certain people called them, because they would drain the energy out of them. And it's realizing we only have so much energy,
Yeah.
and you want to use it to go after your dreams, not to have to listen to someone that drains it all out of you. And so it was given permission to say, don't answer that call. That person, all they do is drain it from you.
Prioritize your own well-being.
Exactly, exactly. And so that was a really big one. Step 6 is celebrate your wins. Cindy and I, when we made our first 500, we were excited that we were going to go out on a Friday night, go to this place for dinner. We set that goal. And then when I started going after bigger goals, we called the kids in and said, okay, Dad's going to miss some games now. They're not going to always be around. But if we hit this as a family, this is what we're going to do. We let them participate in what some of the celebrations was. It could be a water park. It could be movie night. And then it started becoming bigger ones. Cindy and I had never flown on a jet, and we went to Hawaii without the kids. That was our big dreams. And so celebrating the wins is so important because it's not just you being the Lone Ranger. It's you bringing other people in. Our company, when we would hit something, I would shut the company down and write bonuses. So everyone was excited to work together. When I bought the golf course, we'd shut it down on Wednesdays, and we had non-golfers. We would do crazy. We'd use a tennis racket to hit a golf ball. We would, have wings for everybody. And so again, celebrating the wins and making it fun is so important. It's not just grinding all the time. And so that was step 6, was celebrate your wins. 7 was just, once you do the cycle and you realize it works, then redream. You want to do it again. We do a dream board. I do it with my kids, my grandkids. We do it with people who work for me at the office. But we would say, put on your dream board, what is it you want? Is it a car, a house? Is it a vacation? Is it clothes? Dream. And I found people do it really small because they're afraid, what if it doesn't work? So they put their toe in the water and say it's cold. But once they do the cycle and it happens, they make the $500. Now I want to do it again for $10,000. Let's do it. So redream. And then the bonus to it is just the secret sauce. Give more. We give more. We used to say we give more to receive. Now I give more to give more. What I realize now is it's like dreaming. The more you dream, the bigger the dreams get. The more you give, you actually really enjoy it. You want to give more. And so the giving gets bigger. What we are able to give now just blows my mind. And I can't wait to give more. And so that becomes contagious. So that's a secret sauce. Never stop. Go into that next mountaintop, give more. More you give, the more it feels good. You want to do more, and the more you can help change lives out there, which it sounds like, oh, that sounds like kumbaya. It's not. It's like life is really about, let's live it.
It really is. One of the things struck me in the title of your book, which is Life of Your Dreams, was a subtitle, which is How to Take Your Family, Fun, and Financial Freedom to Another Level. And what struck me about that was when people think of the life of the dreams, they think of making a fortune. But you put family, fun, and finance in that order. I think something a lot of people struggle with, a huge amount of people I speak to struggle with, is how to scale their business without messing up their life, their marriage, their relationship with their kids, alcohol, drugs, or whatever. I can hear from your entire story that, and even by the way, I love the bit where you said we included the kids, we talked to them, we told them what we were doing. So maybe dad wasn't there, but they knew they knew what was going on. So what's your thoughts looking back on someone who is at the stage of scaling? How do you do that and still maintain your relationships with your partner, your kids, your family? How do you do that and build $1 billion business?
I guess I use the word intentional. You've got to be so intentional because, for myself, my greatest strength is also my greatest weakness. I like to win. I'm going to go all in. And if I don't recognize that and I'm intentional about the time I'm putting at home, or the intentional of the vacations where we take a break and put the phone down, you will implode. We all will. We have that personality. I can tell with yourself, when you grab something, you're going to go for it. And so for me, it's making sure I have the barriers. I took one of the little kids bowling, and they had these, instead of gutters, they had barriers to them now. And I thought, I need to learn now, bang off of it. So I think it's one, realizing that it's a reality and being intentional about it, calling it out. When I'm coaching and helping some people, someone will say, my spouse isn't supportive. What do I do? And I'll say, well, find out what is important to your spouse. I knew someone that, he was going out to do more cold calls and build his business. His wife's like, you're gone every night. And I said, well, tonight when you have success, send her roses tomorrow if she's a flower person. And every time you have a new sale, I want you to send roses back home. I said, how's it going? He goes, she meets me at the door with a new list of people. And it's like, hey, talk to these people. And I said, everyone has something. It might be, I had a guy who wanted a car, and he went down, he took a picture of the car he wanted. He smelled the leather. He put it in the bathroom. So when he shaved in the morning, brushed his teeth, he saw it. And his wife was literally laughing, like, you're never going to get that. He bought that car. The next morning when he went to shave, there was a picture of a diamond ring. That's it. Find the sweet spot. Find what motivates, because we're all motivated different. And so there's always, my grandpa was a farmer, and he used all these old sayings, but he would say, you can't force a horse to drink, but you can salt the oats. When you salted the oats, it made him thirsty, and he would drink. And so I ask people all the time, how do you salt the oats? How do you bring your family with you? How do you bring your spouse? So it's not you feeling like I'm all alone. It's you as a team because they're part of your team too, just like at work.
But I think that the key word for me you said there was intentional, because if you're going to go and build something, it takes effort, it takes work. It may mean you're not around at different times, but if you set out with the intention going, yes, sure, I'm going to build this, but I want to include my family and all, so that's a whole different thing. Um, as we come to the end of this, what I'm wondering is, if you now met Mark of 30 years of age, or whatever age was before that transition, what would you say to him?
I would say stay the journey. It's worth it. There'll be times you're going to feel like quitting. Don't quit. Get back up. Stay the journey. I've seen the end. It's a good ending. So there's a movie, the ending works out. In the middle, you're thinking, this is hard. This is tough, but stay the journey because it's worth it. I would say to people listening, you're made for more. You are made for more, and we believe in you. So don't be afraid to say that dream out loud. When we're done today, I want you one more time, say out loud that dream you've been afraid to say out loud. Say it out loud.
I think say it out loud is wonderful, and there's been so much wisdom in this conversation, and thank you very much, Troy. I appreciate it. But I'm thinking the two things that I'm thinking for people, the message that I'm taking away is first, the dream, no matter how small, because it's going to the gym. And when you reach the 500, you went, whoa, maybe I can do more. But if you never had dreamed the 500 euro dream, it never would have become a $1 billion dream. And the second is the reality check, is that sometimes along the road it's going to be hard, and you have to stick with it. And if you don't, you'll never get there, because Mark, you're a phenomenal example of what it looks like on the other side. It's worth the journey. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, and I think there's been a lot of wisdom and inspiration for people. I will put in the show notes, but just where can people find you, more about you? Where can people find the book?
On Instagram at the Mark Pentecost. Follow us there. Got a lot of fun stuff there, and books on Amazon right now. So I think it could be one thing that's causing you to be stuck. I think you'll find it. So enjoy the book.
Excellent. So the book is Life of Your Dreams by Mark Pentecost, and I absolutely endorse it. It will be a great read. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.